As far as video games and all, the games that I grew up playing was Def Jam Fight for New York. I think it's called Def Jam Vendetta, where the rappers fight each other. That's one of the early games that I grew up on. That Super Smash Bros. I remember that on a GameCube. I grew up on Nintendo 64. The PlayStation, of course, PlayStation 2, just all the PlayStations. I remember growing up watching my brothers play Grand Theft Auto, GTA, the San Andreas one, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I remember growing up with that game. And SmackDown versus Raw. Those were the best wrestling games. SmackDown versus Raw. Them is the only ones I like for real. I used to play that back then on like the PlayStation 2. Those games were fair. Another game that I rock with was 2K13. I don't hear a lot of people mention that 2K, but that was one of my favorites, 2K13. And I think it was 2K11 or 12 that was fair too. But yeah, I like the old 2Ks better than the new ones. Cause later down the line when I was playing 2K more like, cause I had bought a PS4, I got rid of it though. But when I had my PS4, I think it was 2K20. It was cool, but it didn't hit like the old 2Ks. Another game I rock with was one of the MLB games. A lot of people don't mention these games, but I'm one of those people who like the baseball games, like the MLB. Like, those games are fair to me for some reason. I just enjoy playing it. Oh yeah, Call of Duty too. A lot of people talk about Black Ops 2, but for me, I like the first Black Ops. The first Black Ops is my favorite one. I like the zombies on there. For them, like that's the main thing I like is the zombie mode. The multiplayer is fair on there too, but I mainly like the zombie mode. Like if I still had that game right now, I would be playing that all day. The zombies on Black Ops, the first one. I used to be up all night playing that with my brother. We used to be on that game so long, to the point where we was waking up late for school because we was on the game so long playing that. I had a strategy on that game too, like to round the zombies up. It's a certain strategy you use. If I still had that game, I would be playing with y'all online with that because that shit is just so fair and I'm good at that game. He said pretty much all the Call of Duties from Black Ops 1 and up. World War 2 is my favorite though. Yeah, I like the first Black Ops the most. Because none of the Call of Duties that I got after that was the same. Like, it just didn't hit. I had the Call of Duty Ghost game. That didn't hit the same. I had the Black Ops 3, I think. That didn't hit the same. But that Black Ops 1 Zombies is just fire to me. If I had a choice, I wouldn't even get like a PS5 or none of that. I had a PS4, but I sold that because I wasn't even really playing it. It was just a waste of space. I would rather get a PS3 or a PS2, to be honest, before I would even want a PS5. I would get the PS3 and just play zombies all day. I like them racing games too. I just recently started like watching gameplay from them type of games, like the racing ones, like the Need for Speed. If I had another game right now, like another system, like a PlayStation or something, that's what I would get to, is Need for Speed. He said gaming definitely went downhill. hmm I remember a game called Soul Calibur. It was like a fighting game. I remember that. He said, I prefer Midnight Club over Need for Speed. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look up Midnight Club. He said Black Ops 1, Fallout, GTA 4, Def Jam 2K. Just a few. I'll be back. Need to finish my workout a little bit. Yeah, I was playing Def Jam Vendetta like when I was way younger. He said Saints Row 2. But them wrestling games used to be fire too. The main ones that I like was the WrestleMania one on the Nintendo 64. And like I mentioned before, the SmackDown versus Raw. Those games were so fair. Like the SmackDown versus Raw 2007 through 2009. Because I remember with my PlayStation 4, I had what was it? It was one of the WWE 2Ks, and it just didn't hit the same. Like I prefer the SmackDown versus Raws over the 2K wrestlings. That's just my opinion. Bro, we used to like it used to be a bunch of us playing that. We used to have the ladder matches, bro. That shit was so lit. The ladder matches on SmackDown versus Raw. On a PlayStation 2. He said SmackDown versus Raw series was classics, especially 07. Yeah, I love the 07 one. He said I liked 08 too. I liked them all. Like 07 through 09. It was just something about them games, like I prefer the old games over these new games. If you offer me like a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 2 or 3, I would get the 3 or 2 over the 5. The only way that I would want the 5 is if I could play the old games on the PlayStation 5. I remember that video game. It was called Crash, I think. That was when I was younger. I remember that game, Crash. Sonic. And I think they even had a Shrek video game. I remember the Monster House video game too. I remember the Wii came out too. I don't know if y'all had that before, but I had the Wii Sports and all that. That was fun to play too. I ain't gonna lie. I used to mess with the bowling on that on the Wii Sports when I was way younger. He said the only good thing about the games nowadays are the graphics. Games back then had horrible graphics, but at least the gameplay was good. Yeah, I think that's what made them better though, like, cause the graphics weren't going too overboard like how they are nowadays. So it kind of defeats the purpose of like the game. The game is supposed to be a game. It's not supposed to be real life. He said PS2, PS3 has so many hits. Swear. Which one would you prefer as better? The PS2 or the PS3? He said PS4 when things started going downhill. Swear. It's hard for me to decide out of the PS2 or the PS3 which one was better. He said PS3 in my opinion, more memories. I can't even disagree with it, like whichever one you pick out of those two, because they both is just too fair. I think in the moment we wanted better graphics back then, because back then the games didn't have like the top quality graphics, so we used to probably think like we needed more graphics for it to be better. But once they start updating the graphics, you realize that it just made it worse. He said PlayStation Home. Even the old Madden games were better in my opinion. I remember Madden, like the 2009 one. He said Vice City, Twisted Metal. I never heard of Twisted Metal before. I'm gonna have to look that up. He said I didn't start getting into 2K until 2K16. I was very, very late. Yeah, bro, that's too late. As soon as it hit after 2K14, it went downhill. Like I said, I like 2K13. That might be my favorite one. The shot meter was different and all that. It's like everything turned into like the same thing that Apple be doing. Like how iPhones, they give you the same phone every year, but they updated. They started doing the same thing with 2K and all these other games. It's all just a money grab. He said it's dope. Twisted Metal was basically cars, but they weaponize and you battle one another. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. He said I was hooked on 2K11. Yeah, that's the one I remember, I think. That's one of my favorites too. It was either 2K11 or 2K12, but I can't remember which one. It was one of those though. That was fire. Yeah, I think it was the one with Jordan, yup. It's the one when they let you do the dunk contest and they let you have props and all type of stuff. Like that you're able to use props. You're able to jump over cars and all type of stuff. He said Call of Duty 2K, Madden are the same every year. Facts. I heard about that Black Ops 6 too. I already knew that was gonna be trash though. He said 2K is ass now. Facts. He said 2K been ass for almost a decade now. Swear I've been stopped playing that. But I was just hooked on the old 2Ks. I like the graphics way better, even though it wasn't like so realistic. I just liked it better. I like the shot meter, how it used to be with like the blue light. It's like the graphics had a perfect balance with the old 2Ks. Cause it wasn't too realistic, but it was still realistic, but still like an arcade mix with it. So it still gave you like that gameplay feel. Oh yeah, I remember I had a Game Boy too. I don't know if y'all remember those, but back then I had a Game Boy. I remember having Pokemon on there. I forget the other games I had, but the Game Boys used to be fire.